Today we're going to make a homemade sweet and spicy barbecue sauce. Hi, I'm Aaliyah Millam, the founder of the food blog Premeditated Leftovers and the author of the cookbook Prep Ahead Meals from Scratch. Now, I like making my barbecue sauce from scratch for two reasons. One, I can control the flavor, I can control the spices. So use my recipe as a base and then make it a little bit less spicy if you don't like it as spicy as I do, or tweak it a little bit, add a little more garlic or onion. The other thing I like about making my own barbecue sauce is that I control the ingredients, which means my sauce does not have any high fructose corn syrup. That is one ingredient that does not come into my house. I check everything I buy to keep it out. Okay, so we're going to start with 2 cans of tomato sauce. So I'm going to get all the little dribs and drabs out of the tomato sauce. And then I'm going to add my 2nd can of tomato sauce. Now, tomato sauce is hard to find right now, and if you're having a hard time finding it, you can grab 2 cans of diced tomatoes and then put them through the blender and puree them. It's going to end up being sauce by the time we're done. So, the next thing we're going to add is a cup of brown sugar. I know it's a lot of sugar, but barbecue sauce really does have a lot of sweetener. Okay, the other thing we're going to add is molasses. Now, I think molasses stinks to high heaven, I really do, but it adds a depth of flavor while also adding sweetness. So I'm going to add that molasses. Get that all in there. All right, I'm going to finish stirring that in. Now I'm going to add my spices. It looks like there's a lot of ingredients, but so many of them are just spices. Okay, so we're going to add 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. I just try to say it really fast and hope I get close enough that people know what I'm talking about. Now, I always make sure to use a gluten-free sauce, and I will with my soy sauce as well, because my family is gluten-free. If your family isn't, then you don't have to worry about it. We're going to use 3 tablespoons. I use liquid coconut aminos, but you can use traditional soy sauce if you don't have to worry about gluten. All right, let me just stir that in real quick. And then we're going to add the spices. All right, I use 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, so it'll give it a little bit of a smoky flavor. You can use traditional paprika if you want to. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, and I'm just going to kind of shake it off and then use the same tablespoon for my onion powder because I'm a little bit lazy. All right, I'm going to stir those in. And then we're going to do 1 tablespoon, this brand new bottle of ground mustard. Okay, we're going to call that good. That is not exact. I use 1 whole teaspoon of red pepper flakes. If you're afraid that's going to be too much, then use 1/4 or 1/2 teaspoon and then increase it until you get the right amount of spicy. And this is white pepper. I used 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper. Okay, I'm going to turn this on and I am going to bring this to a boil. We want this to boil and then we're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes. And I'm just going to keep stirring these spices in until they're completely incorporated. And since I used entirely ground spices, this is going to cook so much faster than if I used chopped onions and chopped garlic and all of those types of things, because we'd have to saute them and simmer to get the flavor throughout the sauce. But by using ground spices, that flavor it's so much easier to get it completely immersed throughout the sauce quickly. So all we're going to have to do once this comes to a boil is simmer it for 5 minutes and then it is ready to use. All right, it's starting to boil. So what I'm going to do is turn down the heat to low and I'm just going to let it simmer for 5 minutes. All right, the sauce has finished simmering. Now you could just store this in a bowl if you wanted to. I like to put it in jars so that way I can just use it like jarred barbecue sauce that I bought from the stores. So I use my little canning thing to get the sauce in there a little bit without making too big of a mess. And this is going to make a little over 4 cups. So this made enough to fill 2 2-cup jars and 1 1-cup jar. So I made about 5 cups. I'm just going to put lids on. I'm going to let it cool a little bit and then I'll store it in the refrigerator. Now if I wanted to, I could put it in a water bath and can it, but I'm going to be going through this week. So I'm going to be making some ribs and some barbecue chicken, and I'll go through it this week. All right, you can click the link below to find the recipe for this barbecue sauce, and you'll also find when you click through to that post some suggestions for how I use barbecue sauce in my recipes.